How do we reconcile the existence of both light and darkness inside ourselves?
You will find your light by going into your darkness. That's the thing. You can't actually experience oneness without experiencing both. So you have to go into the dark. And the thing is, what you see outside there, it's already inside of you. So the deeper you look at yourself, you're gonna meet dark aspects of yourself. That's the reality. That doesn't mean when you see all that you're gonna start acting in those ways. It's about bringing them forth and becoming intimate with them and accepting that that's inside of you. Anything that you don't accept, it will come out in very destructive ways. So if you deny half of your experience and you think you're just fucking love and light and you're this enlightened being, sorry, but bro, it's bullshit. and we see it everywhere nowadays. This whole love and light spiritual communities, it's one of the biggest problems that we face.
Welcome back to the James Xander Trip with your host, James Xander. My guest today is a psychosomatic coach, plant medicine facilitator, and a dear friend, Theo Fotopoulos. He's lived through extremes, near-death experiences, deep initiations with plant medicine, years of men's coaching, and a relentless exploration of the shadow and the light. Today we're going to dive into shadow work, purpose, psychedelics, the mysteries of reality, consciousness, and what it truly means to walk the path of initiation. Theo, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here. That was an amazing intro. And you said my surname properly, so...
Excellent. We're off to a good start. Theo, what do you feel is your cosmic purpose in this lifetime?
My cosmic purpose in this lifetime? It's actually one that is constantly evolving, but to the core of it, for me, is raising the consciousness, connecting deeply with my soul and listening to where she wants to take me, and I'm allowing basically the guidance to just send me where I need to be and actually like serve humanity in a way that it's very aligned with that. So just because of my very extreme experiences that I had growing up, it led me to a very beautiful path with pain and experiencing actually duality in a very profound way. And basically through that and connecting also with, plant medicine and all sorts of other things really led me to the core of, what I'm here for. And essentially is to serve humanity, to raise the consciousness and also to support the collective, because I do feel it's a very profound, a very special time in human history with what we're going through. It's almost like this, we're going through a collective shadow work, which for the first time I feel in humanity's history, the darkness have come up into the light. And essentially my journey was one of basically going into the dark and bringing the light up. So I'm basically supporting humanity in that way. How to find the light through the dark.
How to find the light through the dark. I love that.
And embracing basically the half of the human experience that we have been sheltered or disconnected from.
Or suppressing,
but we basically we have been conditioned in that way.
Yeah.
Because if you wanna, go and check and explore that historically, what religion has done, and in so many ways they have completely sheltered us from darkness. And I do feel obviously it has been done in purpose, but now nothing is hidden. So everything has been coming into the light, and essentially the process of actually embracing that is very, very important.
Before we get into your personal journey, where do you see humanity now? It is so true that it seems like all of the pockets of darkness are being unveiled and
illuminated.
And from things like Epstein and darker. It's like there's
Gaza and Israel, like you can see it in so many ways.
Yeah. And so do you think we are heading towards a world where everything will be brought into light and the world will head into a positive light direction? Or are we, like, where do you see the future of humanity going as we currently stand?
Yes. We are already obviously in this process, and I do feel we are already experiencing that, like in the sense of that all the darkness and evil, it is in the surface basically, and nothing is hidden. It's just more and more people are getting exposed to that. And the hardest part is actually a lot of the people that have been programmed to a degree that they find it like very hard to really see past their programming. More and more people are actually going there.
What's the end game for humanity?
Well, either we completely we get to a point that we self-destruct, because that's where we're heading. Like there's no doubt about that. And I do feel with the technological advancements and the way we have been creating for so long, it is leading there, unless something changes. And actually saying that now, it helps me connect back to even when you said with my purpose. For me, it's actually to help humanity steer to a new direction and basically like save the planet, save humanity, and achieve that through the path. So we are heading that direction. There's no doubt that, like, there's so many people. I think also we both have listened to podcasts with people that we respect, and from all sorts of different areas of expertise and all the stuff. And it's a common thing. Like, you see it even in academia with a lot of people sharing that we are heading that way, from spiritual leaders to all sorts of different things. So if we don't do something now, because everything is getting sped up in such a rapid pace, we can't catch up. Our minds can't catch up. Our bodies can't catch up, and we are heading there. So humanity is already disconnected from the earth, from the soul, from spirit, and if we keep going that way,
what is the most important thing that we as individuals and also collectively we can do? To steer humanity in the right direction?
It starts with each of us as an individual. First of all, reconnecting with spirit, which is very, very important. Like imagine like coming here to have this experience and disconnecting from your source.
Your guidance.
Like you don't have the inner guidance. So basically the forces that have created all the structure and the systems that have been keeping us completely like outside of ourselves, they have massively achieved that essentially, and that's the whole purpose. That's why it is a spiritual work that we are experiencing, and it starts from every single individual start to look inside. So basically, bringing back the attention to the inner world instead of externally, because the reality is everything happens internally before it manifests externally. So if you don't get back your attention from outside inside, you're not going to be able to change anything.
Tell me about your journey with your inner work, starting maybe with your near-death experiences. You've had 2 major ones that changed your life. Tell me what your puzzle has looked like.
Yeah. It was a very, very interesting puzzle to solve. Like I grew up in Greece. That's where my journey started. I do feel I was very fortunate to choose the parents that I chose. Obviously, I had also my struggles there, but at least I was shown what unconditional love is, first of all, from my mother. And then growing up in the culture that I grew up, very, very early, I realized that I could actually see the cracks. So I don't think I ever actually stopped being connected with my soul. And that's a big thing. So I could see the cracks with religion. I could never actually listen to what was basically been not it wasn't really forced, but you can't escape it, in a lot of places. So basically I could see the bullshit from as far as I remember myself, as young as I remember myself, and basically I was a rebel from that day I was born. That's why even in my family my dad really struggled with me. He didn't know how to really
handle Theo.
It was too much. And that's what I hear all of my life. You're too much, you're too energetic, you're too this, you're too that. But that's who I am. And the first essentially significant moment that I had, obviously I struggled through the education system and all sorts of things, trying to basically like create a healthy identity. But then as I was developing that, like I had my first ever massive experience, which was basically my first ego death in a sense, because when I was 16, I had this car accident. My best friend was driving, and basically he lost the control of the car. He was driving really fast, like he was going with 160 kilometers, which is a lot, in a very tight place next to a river, and he lost the control of the back of the car. We're going straight to the river, and then he turned it again, and basically we crashed in the corner of this massive wall because it was an industrial area there, and I wasn't wearing seatbelt or airbags, so nothing to hold me, and I basically absorbed the force from the crash. And basically broke my femur in half. My face was completely destroyed, almost lost my eye. Teeth, basically stitches and wounds everywhere. And I had also internal bleeding. I needed 4 or 5 bags of blood afterwards at the hospital. And in this experience, it was so horrific because the last thing I remember was actually getting inside the car. And then all of a sudden I wake up inside an elevator and I open my eyes and I see 3 doctors and my dad on top of me. And I'm like, what is that? It felt like almost like a nightmare. And I realized that something bad happened, and I went to move my leg, and basically I heard this cracking sound, and I passed out basically from the pain. Then I woke up to the other hospital, and then I had 12 days inside the hospital basically, where I was completely bedridden. I had to sit with the pain, and I had a complete identity collapse basically. So my mask got shattered. So until then, 16 years old, the way I knew myself was literally the pretty boy, the athlete. There was so much about the image and my body and all the stuff. So everything got stripped down completely straight away. And I had to sit with that and figure it out. Plus the PTSD that I suffered from that, it felt, to tell you the truth, it actually felt like there was so much of myself missing. So from then onwards, there was this ongoing grieving process of who I was and what I am now. Because through very traumatic experiences like that, there's the degree of fragmentation psychologically is so dear that that's where the struggle is. It was almost like there was pieces of myself scattered inside my psyche, and I didn't know how to basically connect with that. So there was me before that, and then me after that. So I lost, for example, simple things like I loved to dance before that. I was really funny. There was certain elements that they were core to my experience, and then a completely different thing.
How did you find yourself again after that experience?
Well, the process is still going. Thankfully, I came to the point now that I've experienced wholeness, and I will talk about that later and how that feels. But for me, essentially, it started the process of how to reconnect with myself, and essentially, it led me to such extreme and relentless searching for that, in a sense that, I was willing basically to try anything.
If someone's listening to this and they've also gone through some sort of PTSD or some sort of traumatic incident, What do you think helped you the most that you could pass on to them if they're still going through the grief and they're still in the dark night of the soul?
Yeah. For me, what really changed things was actually changing my environment. Especially if you have endured like very, very deep traumatic experiences, no matter what that is, even if it's physical, even if it's emotional, psychological, whatever the level of trauma you had, you have to change your environment. So actually remove yourself from the environment that everything happened, that you have the triggers, that you have the reminders and everything, because essentially it will keep you consistently in that loop. So changing the environment started for me everything. If I never made that decision and I stayed in Greece, I would have been a completely different individual. So it has to start from that.
Changing the environment, getting out of that environment.
Yeah, and seeking support, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you have to start from that. You have to change your environment.
When did plant medicine come into your life, and how did that change you?
Yeah. It came to me like very late because I'm 41 years old now. So until 32 years of age, I was almost vanilla. So the only thing that I've tried in my life was actually cannabis. And that was very later on, I think when I was 25. So I had a dad that he really protected me from drugs. That's how he called them. And because obviously he could see what was happening around. So I was so sheltered from that. And I was completely oblivious. So when I went to Australia, because this is where I really actually started doing properly the work on myself, my first ever experience with MDMA basically changed everything. So I'm very grateful for that experience. And it came through a friend that he was very, he partied a lot and he was very connected like with that, with those ways of experiencing, mind-altering substances. And that opened me up to everything. And I feel for me specifically because I was very mature when I entered, those spaces. And due to being an individual that I always want to educate myself before I tried something, it was very, very different compared to what I have seen in general, like with other people and even clients. So I was very fortunate for that. And then MDMA gave me the opportunity, and that's why personally I believe is really good to dealing with PTSD and everything else. And obviously we know about the studies and all the stuff. I remember specifically the first night that I had it. I went 2 days without sleeping. And I remember literally just sitting there and having my thoughts outside of my head. Mm. And I remember I could access very painful memories or traumatic experiences or stuff like that I had without actually the emotional intensity. And I started processing there. So it was almost, I had like a therapy session with myself for the first time. Because I never went to see a psychologist, or I never went through talk therapy until then, and like it opened me up to everything. And then because I saw the potential of exploring myself and the healing potential, and then I started basically exploring everything else.
That's so interesting that you say that the MDMA showed you your thoughts outside of your head, so you could process them without maybe getting emotionally attached to them.
Yeah.
It was so similar to me. My very first psychedelic experience was LSD.
Yeah.
And we were in nature with a friend. And I remember looking at a puddle and seeing my reflection. Mm-hmm. And in the reflection, seeing all the layers of ego and defense that were on top of my core true personality.
Yeah.
And realizing, wow, if LSD can help me unlayer these things, how much further can I get if I keep working with plant medicine? Mm-hmm. And that was the beginning of my explorations.
Yeah. Like LSD also is a very big one because it was the second one that I tried. After MDMA, I literally went to LSD. That was my second experience.
And how was that for you?
My first ever experience with LSD. It's probably one of the hardest ones I had with everything else because I went into it without actually educating myself, which was very weird. So the same friend that I had my first MDMA experience, he actually, bro, I can get some acid. Let's try that too. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm in. So I go there. we had his partner to be our sitter in a sense. And we have it, and all of a sudden, like I get this big influx of energy because that's how I am. Anything that I have, even cannabis, like I just feel this massive energy. And I remember we're sitting at the couch and we're getting all these business ideas and we're going back and forth and everything was so, was going so fast. And then we turn around and we say to our sitter basically, oh, join us, you have one too. So we all went in. And it was just, I wasn't prepared for that because I didn't realize it was going to last for that long, like for 8 hours. And I didn't know actually how the experience goes, how, you go through a big journey, it relaxes a bit, then you go higher and you go higher. So it's this constant, almost like going up. And I wasn't prepared for that at all. And because it was so intense also, and obviously because it's very different from MDMA, and I've never had a proper psychedelic experience. So I remember at some point, the couple I was with, they went by themselves so they can process some stuff. And I'm sitting at the couch. I have my friend's dog next to me, this fat pug that he was pretty old also. And he was looking at me with this judgmental eyes, like almost telling me like, I've seen that so many times, and I'm having him next to me, and I'm looking at the TV in front of me because my friend put like music videos and stuff. So as I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the TV, all of a sudden everything turned almost like, what my mind judged as demonic. So I had like white and black crosses coming towards me, and then the actual basically like band that was singing, they turn into like demons. So all of like I'm looking at that, and it was almost like straight away, oh, I know what it's trying to tell me. Like I thought straight away, because I was contemplating a lot on religion and my programming and all the stuff, and I thought straight away, okay, now it's taking me to a place that I'm gonna process religion. So I'm sitting there, I'm holding the pug, and I'm like, okay, I need to become a warrior now. And it was so intense that it took me to a place that I'm like, okay, and I asked for my friends to come in again. So then after that, like it was so intense because it kept going higher and higher. Yeah, and I found myself just going in and out from the house trying to calm down, but nothing really would stop it. So I think I realized then, like afterwards, after obviously I had more experiences, like how strong the defenses of the ego, the egoic mind was actually like for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was trying so hard to resist and hold on to, so I couldn't let go.
When did you discover mushrooms, and how was that for you?
Yeah, it was pretty soon after that. So LSD and mushrooms came pretty close to each other. And I noticed the difference like straight away. But it was pretty similar in the sense that I also struggled in my first couple experiences with mushrooms because, like having for the first time that separation from the egoic mind and becoming the observer where you're so enmeshed essentially with the mask, this unblending from the mask is very, very hard in the beginning for someone that has been living from that place. So this is where I really actually started realizing how much resistance and armor I had, like even physically and all the stuff. So it started really showing me what was happening.
When you work with clients today and you see them armored up and sort of enmeshed with their ego and they're not willing to truly let go and surrender,
yeah,
how do you prepare them, or how do you help them, whether it's before the trip or during the trip, to surrender?
Yeah. So this is a really good question. So the interplay between the mind and the body is very, very important. And that's why you have to work in a psychosomatic way at the same time, especially for people that they have never had like a psychedelic experience. You really have to make sure that you prepare them accordingly. First of all, really understand in what state their nervous system is and what capacity they have to deal with intensity. That's why, like what we call in nervous system work is basically the window of tolerance. So you need to really know like what that is for every client.
The window of tolerance.
Window of tolerance, yeah. So you can actually see how much they can actually tolerate like through an experience.
How much can they handle at first?
Because this is a big problem that you see, in psychedelic circles and ceremonies and all the stuff. So people, because a lot of them, they're desperate because they're dealing with very heavy stuff in a sense, or traumas. They eventually they are led there and they want to have their first experiences, but they go to have a ceremony, for example, even with ayahuasca or another medicine, which is very, very intense. So they go from 0 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, if you go like and you work with someone they don't really understand nervous system work or trauma or anything like that. So they see everyone the same. So someone that is not yet equipped and they don't have the foundation to go through an experience like that, they break. And I've seen it so many times.
One thing I find fascinating is for some clients that I've worked with, they need less mushrooms. And if you give them too much, it's like too overwhelming.
Yeah.
But there is other clients I've worked with where I gave them what I thought was a pretty large dose,
but
they're still not really going.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what your thoughts is on that, where people that really need quite a high dose, is it that they're too in their head? Is it that they're just less sensitive to it? What do you see as the pattern between people that are not really truly going deep, no matter how much you give them, or even if you give them a large dose?
Yeah. So especially because of the way I work with people with somatics and all the stuff and medicine, I've actually seen what things actually affect every individual's experience. So one thing is the degree that the individual is actually trapped inside the mind and how much they can access the body. That's one thing, because I've seen people, especially people with high intellect, they struggle a lot to drop in.
That's so interesting. Why is that?
Because intellect, it literally keeps you in the mind. The more
they're really comfortable in that realm.
Yeah, and the more rational you are, and the higher the intellect, because the mind is consistently activated, it's very hard for them to go past basically the defenses. And it's a big problem. So this is one thing. Another thing is also how the body actually processes and metabolizes the substances. So you need to understand actually like how in a DNA level, how actually you metabolize substances, if you are a fast metabolizer or a slow metabolizer, and also what way they're going to consume the medicine. Because, you can have obviously mushrooms in so many different ways, and some people, one of the methods is going to work better than others.
I see.
That's a big thing. And then that's why for me, I found out that preparing every individual in a way that they are more inside their body will amplify everything. That's the thing,
Working somatically first.
Somatically, yeah.
Before introducing the psychedelic.
Yeah. And having a really good preparation also of preparing the mind at the same time, so they can actually start understanding. That's why it's very important actually to understand what the ego is and the contents of your ego as an individual. Because for everybody, it will be a completely different thing. Some people are also more identified with that, some others less. And depending where they are on their journey, it has also, an effect.
So for you, the first couple experiences with mushrooms, you still felt resistance. And then eventually, I'm assuming something cracked open. And I'm curious if you can talk about that experience of when you really got it, the gift of the mushrooms and what they were doing for you.
Yeah. What actually changed everything for me was my first Kambo experience. And the ayahuasca I had 5 to 6 weeks after that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went and had Kambo for the first time 7 or 8 years ago.
Can you define Kambo for maybe someone who doesn't know?
Yeah. So Kambo, first of all, is not a psychedelic medicine or anything like that. It's basically the poison that comes, is the poisonous secretion from a frog in the Amazon in South America. It's in different regions, and the name of it is Philomedusa bicolor, or the English term, they call it basically the giant waxy monkey tree frog. That describes it perfectly. So basically, it's the poisonous secretion from that specific frog, and actually the legend of how the tribes in the Amazon actually started working with the medicine is basically through this tribe that everybody started getting sick, so they encountered a new form of disease. They didn't know how to deal with it, so they went to basically the shaman or the healer of the village, of the tribe, and they asked him. His name was actually Kambu, and they asked him to basically help them. So he had ayahuasca. Ayahuasca tells him, go to this part of the jungle. This is where you're gonna find this frog. This is how you're gonna collect the poison secretion from him. That's how you're gonna save your tribe.
Wow.
So he did all that. He went back. He started administering to everyone Kambo, and basically he saved his tribe. And he became a legend. And the legend basically says that after they believe down there that after he died, that his spirit is fused basically with the spirit of the frog, and any time that you have, actually, it's working basically through you. So that's what they say in the Amazon. So it's a very physical and cathartic experience. So basically, you burn the skin, you apply the poison after you have drank 1.5 to 2 liters of water. So your stomach is full and you already feel nauseous. And then basically the poison goes through the lymphatic system, inside the heart, through the circulation. Then you feel basically this heat going all over your body. And what it does, like the best way to describe it is, it squeezes out from your tissues, your organs and your cells, like the toxins and everything that you want to let go of, pulls it inside your stomach, and then you have this big purge, and it's not just a physical purge, it's actually energetic, it's in every level. So they use it a lot to prepare for big ceremonies, because it will break down all the resistance and blockages in the mind and the body, so it leaves you basically more open. So when you will have ayahuasca or another big medicine, you can actually access much deeper layers, and your experience will be more, you will be able to surrender much easier.
So the first time you did it, it broke you open?
It broke me open, even if I couldn't see it then. And then when I had my ayahuasca 5-6 weeks afterwards, it was with this female healer that she held a space in it was my first experience of a really beautiful feminine energy. And it was gentle, but at the same time, it cracked me open in such a beautiful way. And I had such profound lessons from this one. And actually, it was the first time I connected with my inner child. And he showed me how disconnected I was. So I had this beautiful moment. I haven't spoken about it for so long. So I had this beautiful moment. I see myself outside of myself. And as I'm looking down and I'm looking myself inside of me, I literally see that I'm inside my head. So I'm looking for above and I'm inside my head. So I'm looking down and I see this dark void, and I look at myself inside my head, and it was almost this instant connection that we said to each other, basically, let's dive. So we take this big dive, and we're going all the way down to the dark, and I'm seeing myself basically falling down into the darkness. And I'm realizing as I'm falling down that I'm basically traveling from my mind all the way down to my God.
Oh, wow.
And it was so profound. So the closer, I was going so deep, and all of a sudden I see this light, and myself looks back, and I go to him. Basically, I nod, yeah, let's keep going down. And the closer I got, I see this picture. And as I'm getting closer, I see this picture of myself I think I'm 4 years old in that picture. It's a real picture that I have in my reality, basically, when I was 4 years old, and it's my favorite picture of myself. So he literally showed me this picture, and I'm so happy as my 4-year-old self. But the closer I got, that little boy looks at me, and he was so sad. So I felt the sadness like in such a deep level, and I had this moment that I realized what was happening. And I literally go close and I hug basically the picture and my inner child. And I basically said to him, don't worry, little Theo, from now on, you have nothing to worry about. I'm going to look after you. And I felt it so deep into my being. And basically my visual journey finished there. And I came back to my body, and I basically found myself hugging myself and crying happy tears, basically. And it was the first time that I reconnected with my inner child. And that changed everything for me.
After that ceremony, every other psychedelic experience was on a new level for you.
Yeah. And I was very relentless on my pursuit. So after that, I did 4 weeks after that, I had my first San Pedro experience. And yeah, after that, I haven't stopped. Like, I feel for 3 years straight, I was just constantly into those spaces. Because every medicine, obviously, it teaches you completely different things, and I have so much reverence for each of them as my teacher, in a sense, because that's how I saw them. It wasn't just, okay, I'm going there to heal, but they became my teachers.
What was you've done over 60 ceremonies when you count all the ayahuasca ceremonies, mushrooms.
That's proper big ones, yeah.
Proper big ones. What's been the most life-changing or the deepest one?
Well, I'm gonna definitely say my last ayahuasca in the jungle, because it was the first time that I went in the Amazon to do it there.
21 days, right?
21 days inside the Amazon, 1.5 hours outside of Iquitos and in Peru. And I went there basically to do my Kambo training. So it was 21 days of the most profound training I've ever done.
How many times were you doing Kambo?
So I did through that 11 Kambo sessions in 15 days.
Oh my God.
For anyone that knows, that has had Kambo, they understand. That
is not an easy journey.
Having 11 sessions and 75 points in total. So I have a lot of holes, a lot of scars in my hands and everywhere. But the most profound experience from that was actually the second week, because through that, it was basically the initiation, which it was actually doing a dieta with Kambo. So for anybody that doesn't know what the dieta is, it's a traditional way that they do in the Amazon, basically to connect with spirit and God, and connect also with different plants or medicines that you want to choose. So basically, it's a way that you do a diet with a specific plant medicine or. So you only use that for the time, that duration of your dieta. So for me, it was 8 days with Kambo, and I had to every single day wake up, go to the Maloka, basically self-administer Kambo, 7 days in a row, and then spend the rest of the day alone, in silence, deep in the jungle, and sit with my stuff. And as you can understand, Kambo squeezes out everything, and every day it goes deeper and deeper. So it was basically the most profound experience, because the unique aspect of that is that you do a complete dopamine fast. There's no distractions at all. So no getting away or avoiding anything. And it's just you, yourself, your connection with the divine and your soul. And figure it out. Nobody's coming to save you, and you get initiated in a very profound way.
By the 8th day, what was your experience like? What were you facing in your mind?
Yeah.
How was your internal state?
Yeah, everything was very clear. So obviously I went there. I actually did that. I gave that as a present for my 40th, for myself. And I had some deep questions. First of all, I wanted to because this is something that I do very frequently, basically communicating with spirit and even with the land and also the custodians and all the stuff, to get permission for the work that I'm doing. So that was one big thing, to actually get the confirmation. Okay, I'm on the right path. Mm-hmm. Should I be doing this? And from that, okay, what is the next phase in my evolution? How do I serve in bigger ways? How do I have a bigger impact? And actually look myself also deeper. Plus it was actually an experience that I was also looking to heal after like a very, very intense 9 months before that. So I had a massive, basically, what's the word I can use for my experience? It was the deepest, and that I made basically the decision to leave Australia after 11 years being there, and I had completely to burn everything to the ground. So I was coming out of basically freeing up myself for the first time properly, and it was very profound because any identities that I have collected through the years, I had to completely let go and fully honor my path and myself. So I started actually going even deeper on my soul journey. So I went there basically to meet my soul in a deeper way.
And then at the very end, you did ayahuasca?
So after 11 campo sessions and the dieta, I sat with this this legend of the jungle. His name is Maestro Don Benigno. It's this 83-year-old shaman that works with ayahuasca for more than 7 decades. So it was my first experience with a master of his craft at a level that I like. The level of mastery that I experienced through him, it was just phenomenal. And he's actually blind also, he can't really see. So he only sees the unseen, which was so profound.
Wow.
So finishing off my whole experience with being in the presence of someone like that as a teacher and as a facilitator, and having 4 cups of ayahuasca after 11 conversations. And it was actually the black vine. So there's 4 different vines. So you have yellow, red, green, and black, and dark, which they call it ayahuasca negro. So it was my first connection with that vine. And apparently it's more purgative and dense, like dark. Obviously, my favorite. So it was the most intense and hard experience I've ever had with plant medicine, and it just challenged me and broke me apart and fucking experienced death and birth through that journey in such profound ways, and it really revealed to me in such a clear way darkness and light, because I had to go through so much darkness through this process that the way I connected with the source and light, it was in the most profound way. So basically the way I met God in that experience, nothing can, you cannot describe that in words. It's just profound.
How do you integrate an experience like that?
I'm glad that I had that experience way later on in my journey, because if I had that earlier on, it would have been very hard. For me, that's why it's so important to do this in a safe environment and in an environment outside of distractions, so you can truly listen and have the space to integrate it. So basically I spent after that some more time down there in silence, and basically like it was a lot of journaling, it was a lot of reflection, and like connection also with the body, because that's the whole thing. I feel a big aspect of why people struggle to integrate experiences is the embodiment part of actually embodying the knowledge so it can become wisdom, and it's not just fucking information. So you need space and time for that. So I provided that to myself, and essentially like I was fortunate like to really take everything in, and yeah, like my process after that, like it took many months. And this is another thing that I want to really share with your listeners and everything, that every single big experience that you will have with medicines, it takes months to fully integrate it, because the medicine is still there. It will still bring up, it will still reveal things to you. So it's an ongoing process. That's why I'm against with people like constantly like having big experiences, no matter what that is, even if it's mushrooms, even if it's anything.
Because they're not doing the integration.
It's hard to do it like that because you're constantly like breaking yourself apart and you're literally bringing so much material psychologically, emotionally, even spiritually. Where's the space to actually do that? It takes time, man. It takes a long time. And it takes time also to get it right for you as an individual to understand how you integrate as an individual. Your experience is better.
So it's unique for everyone.
Yeah. Obviously, there's obviously like specific ways to do it, but for everyone also, you will figure out like what's the best way for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. That's the important thing.
Do you have recommendations in general for people looking to integrate their psychedelic experiences more profoundly?
Yeah. So actually, we're entering the arena now of proper inner work. So that's the thing. So I do feel is very, very important, like to really understand, first of all, how to learn how to communicate with your unconscious and your subconscious mind. It's very, very important because obviously the subconscious mind, which is the bridge between the two, carries all the programming and patterns and all sorts of things that influences your experience. So you need to understand what you carry there, create a relationship with the unconscious mind, because the unconscious mind, we have our individual unconscious mind, but then also the collective. So it's so vast that by the time you die in physical form, you will still discover things. It's just endless. So having an access to that and actually understand at any given point the material that tries to come through and how to connect with it and actually like develop have the tools and the understanding of how to work with it, which is very important. And I will talk about how to do it. So there's that component. There's the component of the somatic work, actually properly connecting with your nervous system and the body. So you can make sure that you're processing also the emotional, the emotions that come up and all sorts of things. Because with this deep work, there's so much also liberating from the body, from suppressed emotions, from traumas, from all sorts of things that if you don't know how to access that, you just keep suppressing and keeping it down. So creating this essentially connection with mind, body, and spirit is crucial. So you can be able to put everything together. And actually there is this beautiful flow of energy that you learn how to be with it. So obviously the breath is a very important component. Actually taking over control of your nervous system through the breath is very, very important to learn how to regulate, to learn how to listen, first of all, to your body and the signals that it actually gives us. This is a big thing. We say especially the gut is our second mind, potentially even the first one. because in our gut, we have trillions basically of cells and organisms that there's constantly this interplay and all these signals and information that we receive. Mm-hmm. So if we don't connect with that, we don't connect with the nervous system and we just stay in the mind, like it's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it.
So connecting with the subconscious, connecting with your body, journaling maybe as well?
Journaling, obviously, it's a way to connect with that. So developing a daily journaling practice mm-hmm. that you don't just put down, like things that you want to tick throughout the day, and you actually ask yourself deep questions. You try to connect with parts of yourself and all the stuff, and we can talk what that is. But also creating a communication with the unconscious mind. For me, proper inner work requires connecting with the unconscious, which happens primarily also through dreams. Mm-hmm. Like I do feel it's very, very important actually for people to understand that what you see during the night in your dreams, it's not just rubbish and like irrelevant stuff. It's very, very important because this is how our unconscious mind communicates to us. So actually having a practice that you try to connect with your dreams and you learn how to, first of all, remember them in the morning so you can write them down, and then how to interpret them, it's a very important aspect.
Is there something you can share about how to remember dreams and then how to interpret them?
Yeah, a simple thing like in the beginning for everyone to do, because I was one of them and I know a lot of people that they said that I don't dream a lot at all. It's because actually they just have disconnected from that. Everybody can connect with their dreams. And I'm a perfect example because for years, there was no connection at all. That's the thing.
It's not that you're not dreaming, it's that you're just disconnected. You don't remember.
Yeah. And you don't remember them at all. So that's the thing. Everybody dreams. So for me, basically like a simple practice that you can do is first of all, creating the intention of I want to connect with my dreams and my unconscious mind. And basically just before you fall asleep is saying either out loud or inside of yourself, tonight I'm going to connect with my dreams and my unconscious mind. I'm going to have very vivid and profound dreams. I'm going to receive clear and direct messages from my unconscious mind. And in the morning, I'm going to remember my dreams so I can write them down. It's as simple as that. And then if you do that like every day, all of a sudden you will find yourself, you start actually remembering and seeing. So then it's all about writing down. And then there's different ways that you can learn how to interpret them. Obviously, you need the best way. It's actually working with a therapist that actually does this kind of work. Anyone that has done, like a Jungian analyst or anyone that has done this kind of trainings, they know exactly like how to work with dreams. So I was fortunate. The way I learned also was through one of my best friends that he's a clinical psychologist. And this is something that he has really gone very deep into. So he really taught me how to connect with that, how to understand my own unique symbolisms that I receive and associations and all that stuff. And then, you develop basically this process and understanding of what is trying to come through to you. And a big thing that I want people to understand about dreams is that the characters that the unconscious mind uses to communicate to us and the characters that we see in our dreams, it's not the actual characters. They basically resemble parts of yourself. So you may see an ex-partner, you may see a friend, you may see a father figure. It's just parts of your own psyche that the unconscious mind actually uses to communicate to you of what actually is happening on your mind. And then when you learn to connect with that, you start seeing, for example, a beautiful example is you may have a specific archetype basically showing up. For us men, you may have the trickster, like the magician, or which is like a very common thing, or the king archetype, or the father archetype may start actually coming through to work with. And what it will do as you actually pay attention and you start to interpret your dreams, it will start take the archetype a clear form. And it starts to change form, and then it becomes completely human. And then you understand, okay, my process is coming, deeper and closer in a sense.
Mm-hmm. What has been some of the mysteries of reality that have fascinated you from going through all of your initiations, plant medicine experiences, all the life that you've lived? Are there unanswered questions about reality that keep you awake at night?
I don't really think that we can truly answer those deep questions. There's so many people throughout history that they have tried to do that, and everybody has their own version or understanding, but that's the beauty of the human experience. I don't think we'll ever know. So I've released the attachment of I need to know.
Got it.
And I just enjoy the fucking ride, bro. To tell you the truth, I don't really give a fuck about that's the truth. So this acceptance of that and releasing the attachment of knowing, for me specifically, it has allowed me to just be so immersed in the human experience that I just let it unfold. And I constantly, yes, I ask the questions, but really a lot of the times, especially with the deep stuff, it's something that you can't really put it into words. For consciousness even, or existence, or like literally everything. We can just, assume things.
Have you experimented with Bufo or DMT?
Yeah.
Because those to me feel like they show you some incredible mystery of reality.
Yeah. There's nothing more. The most profound way that you can experience death in physical form is through Bufo.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Bufo has been such a powerful teacher, and it completely dissolved the fear of death straight away from my first experience.
Because it feels like you die on it.
You do die in physical form, literally. Like, it's the first time that you will have a complete dissolution of ego.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You just stop being that, and you're not in your body anymore.
But still conscious.
It depends the dose. I don't know what doses you had, but
well, the what I'm trying to say is the awareness of I am is still present. So for me, the beauty of Bufo and the beauty of DMT was realizing I still exist without my body. So it's death, but you're still alive.
Yeah. So yeah. Because for me, again, I'm pretty intense. I had it 8 times in 8 months, and every time that I will sit down with it, I smoked it multiple times at least. And I tried obviously higher doses and smaller doses, so you can have very profound experience even in small doses as a meditation. But on a big dose that you completely dissolve, the way you experience yourself as light or consciousness, I don't even know if you can put the I am there. You just completely become light. And for me, my experience was that I saw myself beyond obviously the body and beyond the human experience, almost returning back to the source.
Yes.
Going back to the light. And then because with Bufo, the way you come back into your body is almost like you're falling with a parachute from so high. There is this beautiful moment, like this beautiful, 10 minutes of just slowly coming back inside your body. And for me, as soon as I got back in, I just hugged myself, especially from the first time, because I realized in that moment how fucking grateful I am for my vessel.
Yeah.
And what it allows me to experience, because we see with the disconnection that we experience as a collective from our bodies and this reality and the earth, as soon as you have this experience, you actually realize that without this vessel, you just cannot have any of that. You're just light. There's no fun on that. Like, seriously. So as soon as I came back, like I hugged myself so strong, because I realized that every time that I do an experience like that, I just want to go even more inside myself, not escape.
You start to appreciate the
even more
3D-ness, the Theo-ness of your reality.
Yeah, like I actually, there's so many even friends that they contemplate on the big questions and all the stuff. And every time that we sit down, they actually ask me, do you want to come back? Do you want to have another lifetime after this? And I'm like, I don't want it to end. Like, for me, I just want to keep coming back to experience this. And obviously, there's the soul wants to evolve and eventually like to reach like enlightenment and complete that process. But I don't know, for me, every time is I just have so much gratitude for this experience, and I just go even deeper into the 3D and life.
Yeah,
that's the reality, because the beauty of the 3D and the duality is just just endless.
Tell me about the dangers of psychedelics and what people need to be aware of.
Yeah.
Because obviously you and I are big fans of the gifts of psychedelics, but are there things people should be aware of?
Yes, 100%. One of them is, and something that I changed my opinion about is not everybody has to have them. I don't believe that anymore. There's definitely people, especially NPCs, that they're not, because they don't even have a soul.
Let's talk about that. What is an NPC for
the
those?
Non-player character? Many of them, for anybody that has seen the Matrix movie.
Yeah. So you don't believe everyone here on Earth has a soul?
No.
Interesting. Tell me more about that.
No. And we can actually share some resources for people to start exploring a bit like those concepts. Because the lower level basically in this human experience is basically the NPCs, the non-player characters. So there's no soul there. They don't play a soul game and they don't have the capacity to do that. And that's why whenever you interact with someone like that, there's nothing there. You look at them inside the eyes and there's nothing there. And it will never be.
So when those people are taking psychedelics, what happens?
First of all, a lot of them, I don't think they will ever even explore that. But even the experience that they can have, think about, we have 8 billion people like in this world. How many of them are there?
I've always thought every human had a soul.
No, bro. No, not everybody. Not everybody. And I will actually let's share some resources also for people.
We'll put in the show notes anything.
There's for me, and they have been also like teachers of mine in a sense. There's Laura Matsue and her partner Bernard Gunder. There's this amazing couple that, for me, they are basically the best people that I have found out there in regards to inner work and the information that they put there, like by far. And they have this beautiful podcast which is called The Cosmic Matrix. And in one of their latest podcasts, they actually talked about like the 3 different levels of people in this human experience and why NPCs, they don't have a soul and all that stuff. And those are not new concepts. Actually, a lot of even authors from the past, they have talked about that. Even Rudolf Steiner actually talked about it. So it's not something new.
So for someone listening to this podcast, let's say they subscribe to that belief, is there anything they should do with that knowledge? Is there any actionable thing that they should do about that?
First of all, I don't think anybody that will listen to your podcast won't be an NPC.
Right, exactly. But that's what I mean.
No. I just wanted to share that, like, because I truly believe that it's not for everyone.
Got it.
It's not for everyone.
So that's the first thing.
That's the first thing. The second part is a big danger is with not integrating experiences.
Right.
And actually still believing that the actual work is the ceremony.
Chasing the ceremony, chasing
the high. A lot of people chase the high. The amount of times that I've been in ceremonies and I had so many people around me like, I can't wait to have the visuals. I can't wait to see, like, and it just actually frustrates me so much, man.
Because it's not
about that.
Yeah.
People, I've seen people even falling asleep on ayahuasca, man.
Yeah.
Like I've seen so many things. So it's not about that. And you have to treat the medicines with respect. That's the thing. If you don't have the intention to basically like heal, learn, connect, like actually like have a profound experience for your evolution, and you just go there to have fun and just have a peak experience or like see some visuals, then you shouldn't be there. Just don't go. It's not for you. Like it's as simple as that. So that's one thing, actually understanding that the ceremony, the actual medicine experience, is not doing the work. The ceremony is the opening. It's the opening that really shows you and basically breaks through the layers of conditioning and all the stuff. So it shows you who you are not, and it reveals to you who you are or where your work is.
Wow.
And it's what you're going to do with this material after you come out from the tipi or the apartment in Miami that your ceremony.
Whichever one.
That's another thing. That's another danger.
Doing it in a different context.
Who you choose to hold you on those races.
Yes.
That's another big thing. But for me, the most important thing is actually understanding that. What it's about, understanding that it's sacred and very deep work and it needs to be treated as that.
Yeah.
Don't see it as a fucking party or like just a trip. It's not a trip.
I do have a question for you. So my first ever ayahuasca ceremony was so profound and gave me enough homework for 3 years.
Yeah.
Like it just was so much to work on. And then I did ayahuasca a few more times. And I remember, I think it was the 5th ceremony. It was so light and pure and zero purging. It didn't feel like it gave me 3 years of homework necessarily. So how does one know if the experience they're having, what they're meant to do with it, if the homework is not necessarily in your face, here's what you got to face? Maybe it's a very positive, euphoric experience. How do you see that sort of experience?
Yeah. No, but that's why I said it. I just said it's an opening.
It's an opening, yeah.
It literally breaks you open in such a profound way.
Yeah.
And then you have constant flow of material coming through. You may get...
Later on.
Yeah, it will happen, especially if you look after yourself afterwards.
Yes.
Because that's why it's so important. You need to understand. First of all, you need to have practices to develop a constant connection with yourself, with your soul, with the divine. It's very, very important, because if you do that, you're constantly gonna be connecting with what comes through from this opening.
Downloading.
Yeah. So you get this opening and you have downloads from everywhere, from your body, from your psyche and spirit. So it's very, very important to understand that. So if you develop the practice and you become really good at listening, you're gonna have material consistently, because it changes the way you interact with yourself.
Yes. For me, one of the best practices is meditation.
Yeah.
Simply listening to your mind, being
Slowing
with
down
yourself.
and listening. Yeah.
What are some of your day-to-day rituals and practices that you could recommend to the listener?
Yeah. So for me, it's breath work, meditation, actually breath work and movement. This is the first thing that I do as I wake up. So I move.
Can you describe your ritual in the morning?
Yeah. So I will do, for example, first of all, I start by doing some tapping, and basically I work with the lymphatic system, because, we're sleeping throughout the night and things get a bit stagnant. So I move through the lymph a bit, especially around my neck and the clavicle and all that stuff. Then I do these bioenergetic, basically, exercises where you do some shaking. You actually put your body in specific positions, like to actually move through the energy and connect while you're doing breath work. And then I may use the foam roller, also go on the ground and actually stretch everything, open up my chest and my heart, and really actually see how my body is feeling and what comes through. Then I will sit down. I will do usually 2 to 3 different types of breath work. It can be pranayama and alternate nostril breathing, or tumo breathing, which is more intense, and breath holds with that. It can be Bastrika or breath of fire, like depending how I feel, because I have so many different tools that I can use. There is the core aspect of it, but then depending where I'm at, I may try something different. And then after that, like, I sit in silence, because you go in a very calm and connected state. And I try to listen through meditation, and then I journal. And my journaling practice, it changes through seasons and depending what I'm doing. But for me, it's very important, first of all, to connect with what comes through and listen, and then check with myself how I'm feeling emotionally. What material, write down my dream, for example, and try to process it.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important to start the day like that.
Breathwork, movement, meditation, journaling.
So that's in the morning, and then sometimes I may read any of the books that I'm trying to read, because of my ADHD brain. Usually I have 4 or 5 books at once that I'm trying to complete. So there's that, and then also because I work with people, and especially with the line of work that I do, there's the touch and there's very energetic component. I need to have practices also that, first of all, I clear my own vessel. So my energy is pure when I'm working with people. This is very important. So to do that, I have so many other practices to use. First of all, I can use Kambo, which is the best way to clear the vessel. Even small doses. I may use Hape. Hape is a great way actually to really clear the nervous system and create also like calmness in the mind. Or a great way that I have developed through the years of connecting with myself and processing, which is very, very important, is using either mushrooms or cannabis. Create the space for at least 3 to 4 hours. Have a foam roller, a massage ball, create a playlist, yoga mat or blanket on the floor, and basically I just have the medicine, different doses at times, and I just go on a journey with myself, opening up my body and really processing emotions and thoughts and stuff. It's very, very important like to do that. Otherwise, if I feel stagnant, I struggle a lot. It's very, very important.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I do, solo mushroom journeys for myself as well. And sometimes I'll wait. I'll be like, okay, let me try and work this out on my own without the mushrooms. And then I'll do the mushrooms a week later. And I'm like, I should have just done it a week before because it's so instant the way it tells you, this is it. Yeah. This is where you're out of integrity. This is the truth you're not facing. And it's amazing how intelligent the entity of the mushrooms is and how it's just directly going right at what you need to see.
Depending also the strain that you're going to use, they're going to teach you in different ways also. 100%. You know what, like actually something that I have been connecting, especially the last 9 months here in Bali, is that nature is a big medicine for me. If I don't make the time to go in nature, I struggle a lot. So actually properly getting away from the chaos and the craziness and actually going inside the jungle or going in the mountain and actually being in silence and connect with the land, no matter where you're at, it's the best way to actually clear yourself and connect and reconnect.
I had this download on mushrooms where I was, I think it was in the east of Bali, surrounded by nature, and I did this mushroom trip and it was beautiful. And as I was coming down, I sat on the patio and I'm looking out at the rice fields. And I could perceive how everything in nature was perfectly aligned and in resonance with itself and in harmony, from every single insect to the way the wind flowed to the rice fields. And I realized the reason nature must be so healing to us is because when you step into nature, you're surrounded by a field that is in complete, pure resonance with itself. There is no distortions. It's just purity. Mm-hmm. And as you stand in it, you start being pure in that frequency. You start like a tuning fork being tuned by nature.
Yeah. We come from there.
Yes.
Literally. Like our vessel comes from there. Like that's the thing. So
you forget it when you're in the middle of the chaos.
That's why big cities like create such big problems also. But think about that. Like this is a big thing for me. Like that I connected probably 4 years ago because I started seeing like the reality is we have exhausted the masculine way of being. We have exhausted it. For the last probably 5,000 years, we completely operate from that, from the masculine way. Do consistently, and actually the distorted ways of the masculine. And see how we are creating. We are completely staying in the mind, trying to actually externalize everything, disconnecting from the earth, disconnecting from literally the sky, like disconnected from everything. And we are creating in a way that damages everything, damages the environment, damages the earth. That's the whole the whole thing between the masculine and the feminine. Also, we have been completely the way we have been treating even the feminine, which is the mother and the earth, is just, So that disconnection has created like such massive problems. So if we don't understand that, and we make the best we can to connect also with the opposite inside of us, especially for us men, which is very, very important, you will never be able to experience also wholeness. That's the thing. So we have, and that's why what I feel is happening now. We're trying again, everything is getting redefined, and the masculine and the feminine is trying basically like to come back to the healthy expression, so we can become one again and co-create, not having this separation that has happened. So which means we are connecting back to the earth, and we are creating also like in ways that is aligned also with nature, with the universal laws and the truths and all the stuff. It's very important.
For the men that you work with one-on-one or in groups, what do you see as the most vital missing key or piece of the puzzle that they need to work on as men?
There's so many. I love these questions. Like for me, for us men, it all starts from the lack of initiation and rites of passage. So we've lost that.
We've lost that
completely.
Yeah.
Like at least the women, they have like, okay, they're getting their period and they're getting this first basic initiation. I'm becoming a woman. So their body already tells them you're transforming, like you're growing up.
Yeah.
You know, so there's the thing. So while we were on the tribal setting, and you still see it in tribes that they have been untouched and all the stuff, they still have the rites of passage and initiation processes for young boys. Because naturally what happens is the mother is most important when we are young, and then there needs to be that separation from the mother and the boob and everything else, and the men and the elders have to take the boy away from the mother to teach it now, you're becoming a man. This is your responsibilities, this is how you act, this is what you do in every way. We don't have that anymore. We don't have healthy masculine role models, you know, and we pretty much all experienced our fathers also being lost because of that. And we're seeking how to become men. It's this constant process of understanding how to become a man. And I feel, and this is what helped me also, my deep desire to actually understand how to be a man led me to my initiations. It's a very important thing, because nobody is teaching us how to be that. In any culture, like, has been lost completely. That's why men's work is so important now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you see a future where initiations come back in some way?
It's already happening. This is one realization that I have recently connected with, the realization I had through listening some lectures like from and interviews from Joseph Campbell and Robert Moore. So Robert Moore is this Jungian analyst that he's written the book King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, by far one of the best books for men. This is a good way to start with actually educating yourself how to be a man. So Robert Moore, basically, as I was listening one of his interviews, I actually realized that the movement of men coming together, having circles and trying to actually connect, co-create, and understand how to become a healthy masculine expression is happening from, I think, mid to late 70s. Because in my mind, because I thought it started like the last 10, 15 years.
But it's been going on for a while.
It's been going on. Actually, after feminism started, there was a big movement even in America that started also at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And actually made me really happy that this is happening for so long. Because pre-internet, you wouldn't actually see that this is happening. So one of the big benefits of that now is that you just see it everywhere. And it's happening all over the world at the moment, which is very, very important. The conversations have been had. There's men that truly step into the arena, and they're really taking the responsibility, first of all, of doing the healing work required and actually becoming a healthy expression and taking that responsibility to lead men. And this is happening everywhere. And that has been the case for me also. From the moment I actually saw my reality of how behind I was, because this is the thing, it's very confronting in the beginning. Me personally, I had to confront the reality that I was such a boy in so many ways, even entering my 30s. And I was so wounded, and that's the thing. I had to look myself in the mirror and literally actually understand and say the truth. And I had to commit to it. Stop hiding, start saying the truth, and really confront yourself. And it's not easy in the beginning, because that means your ego is going to resist a lot. So that's the thing. So from the moment I saw my reality, I just made that commitment and I never looked back. And I'm relentless on that pursuit, how to reach my potential as a man and what I can do, because I'm entering now, I'm becoming an elder in a sense. I'm in my 40s already, and I have taken that role, obviously, like for a lot of people. So it's a big responsibility, and it requires for me to operate in a way that it's just...
Yeah. You're in your 40s. What would you say to listeners in their 30s of how they can spend their next decade in the most productive way to become the best man or woman that they can be?
Yeah. A big thing is understanding that being a man is not just building wealth and having a business. It's not just that. It's an aspect of that. And obviously we all have to nurture that. But then there's so many layers and levels of an aspect of being a man that they need to actually understand that it requires to focus in so many other areas. That's one thing. And then obviously, okay, from the moment you decide that, you need to, as an individual, make a plan of how you're gonna attack this. Because as a man, it's especially because it has changed so much what it means to being a man. Like nowadays, it has become harder and more multi-layered. And this is my realization. Actually, for me, I'm so grateful having this experience as a man nowadays, because it's so fucking hard to achieve that's what makes it beautiful. And being a man, if you can't embrace challenge and change, you won't be able to reach that. That's the thing. So that means you will have to do inner work. You will have to connect with your feminine side. You will have to do sexuality work. You will have to, spiritually, you need to connect. There's just so many layers.
You've also worked with a lot of women.
Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest areas of life that the feminine needs to work on?
What they need to work on? First of all, women, they are the most beautiful and intense mirror for us men. And they have been probably one of the greatest teachers for me also. So I feel in regards to women, because I work with them for 6 years, and actually I'm very fortunate with the way I do so, because the way I have seen the feminine in my space, it's in the most raw, vulnerable, and profound way. So I have had the privilege to see the feminine in its purest form. And from the moment I saw that, I was able to start connecting with it properly inside of me. So for women specifically, it's actually really interesting that women, I feel the biggest struggle that women have is how to connect with the feminine nature and in a sense almost detangle a bit from the masculine way that they have embraced because of obviously what has happened, naturally. Women had to step up so much on their masculine role that essentially has been damaging them in so many ways internally, which means disconnection also from their body, disconnection also even from their pleasure and the way the feminine is. So I do feel, because in one of the ways that I support women is creating the safe space for them to just be without having to do. So it's basically embracing what it means to be a woman. And that's the problem. We have been conditioned in such distorted ways of what that looks for us and for them, that it's basically understanding how to reconnect with that.
Yeah.
And embrace the feminine in all its beauty, which means motherhood, and the ways that the feminine actually creates.
Let's talk about shadow work.
Yeah.
What is shadow work, and what has shadow work revealed to you about yourself and the human condition?
Well, what is the shadow, first of all? The shadow self is basically all the parts of ourselves that we have been suppressing or deemed as shamed or deemed as bad. But it also contains what we call the golden shadow, which is basically a lot of good parts of ourselves, like our creativity, like it's a lot of our power hidden there. And the shadow also is so close, essentially. The interplay between the shadow and the ego is so important, and it's so close that's why, like, if we can't create like that connection and start doing and start bringing the shadow aspects into the light, it's very, very hard, because anything that we keep in the shadows, it will actually come up in very destructive ways, and it will affect us. And I'm pretty sure a lot of us experience that.
How have you worked with your shadow, and what can you advise to the listener on how they can start doing proper shadow work?
Yeah. So there's so many different techniques that you can start utilizing in regards to that. So there's a lot of journaling questions that you can actually utilize in regards to how you connect with your shadow. A powerful way is actually constantly, with any interaction that you have with people that you get triggered with, is actually connect with the trigger and what the other person as a mirror is trying to tell you about yourself.
Yes.
What parts of yourself you see in someone else that you have either suppressed or you're not accepting. It's a very, very important aspect of that. Because from the moment you start interacting with people and the external environment like that, it changes everything.
Anything you reject in another or judge in another is something that you are judging
criticize
yourself.
or project, like that's the thing.
Yes.
And the projection is a big thing also. You know? So that's the thing. From the moment you shift in those ways and you start connecting with your triggers, because the trigger is basically the signal that we get in regards to what we need to look inside ourselves. Yeah, which is very, very important. So then you start working with that, and then there's also obviously like a lot of exercises that you can do to deepen this kind of work. And for me, a big thing has been to get confronted with how much material I had in the shadows in regards to my power. Because this is the thing, with the traumatic experiences that I had and the way I got fragmented or disconnected from parts of myself, there was a lot of the gold that I had to bring in, and I'm still doing so because a lot of my creativity was there. So that has been like a big thing, and I'm still like working so much on that.
Does shadow work ever end, or is it just this infinite pool of shadows that we're going to work through for the rest of our life?
In general, the work never ends. From the moment you actually become conscious, you realize that that's how you're going to be living from now on. And a lot of people, I'm pretty sure we all say it at some point of our journey, even as a joke, I wish I went back to being unconscious, because your experience doesn't become actually easier. It becomes much harder.
The more you know.
The more aware you become and the more conscious you become, the more there is to work with.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Your way of interacting with yourself and the external environment changes completely. And it's not easy. It's not easy, because you constantly have to look at yourself, and you have to see your bullshit, see all sorts of things. And this is one thing that I want people to understand. It's not about going to a place at some point with the work that you are doing, that you're this fully healed, perfect being, that you don't experience any setbacks or your old patterns don't come back or anything like that. That doesn't exist. This is an illusion. You just become better at catching yourself when things from the past come up, or you catch yourself basically Yeah, or even being out of integrity or misaligned. Like you just become better at actually observing all that, and you have the tools to basically shift and not get pulled back again into that. So that's the thing. It's a complete different way of interacting with yourself, and then it just doesn't finish. It doesn't.
How do we reconcile the existence of both light and darkness inside ourselves?
You will find your light by going into your darkness. That's the thing. You can't actually experience oneness without experiencing both.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go into the dark.
So is there actually such a thing as evil in this world, or is it a distortion and a darkness? Like, how do you see the duality of this existence in this world?
Yeah. So nobody can deny that there is evil out there now. Nobody. Can you deny that? You see it everywhere. In so many different levels and ways. And the thing is, what you see outside there, it's already inside of you. So the deeper you look at yourself, you're gonna meet dark aspects of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality. That doesn't mean when you see all that you're gonna start acting in those ways. And this is the problem out there. So even with shadow or meeting those parts of yourself, it's about bringing them forth and becoming intimate with them and accepting that that's inside of you.
Right.
Anything that you don't accept, it will come out in very destructive ways. So if you deny half of your experience and you think you're just fucking love and light and you're this enlightened being, sorry, but bro, it's bullshit. and we see it everywhere nowadays.
Yes.
This whole love and light spiritual communities, it's one of the biggest problems that we face.
It's a bypassing?
Yeah, 100%. They're bypassing completely. And actually, it's so funny because the spiritual ego is even worse. It's the worst kind of ego that you can experience, because this is the thing. The ego, and especially every time that we have any profound and intense experiences where you have that separation, the ego will come back stronger. And it will try always to latch on to a new identity. And if you are not cautious of that and you don't catch it and you don't understand it, that's why if you haven't actually met your ego, you will lose the game. And this is what happens. A lot of people nowadays, they go through this process and they create an identity from spirituality, and they think they become this love and light being that they're just, like they're just bypassing the whole experience. And they think they connected with, they are one and all that stuff.
What do you see as the role of the ego? So there's obviously downsides to being egoic, but then there must be a gift in the ego. So how do you see the role of the ego?
Yeah. So the ego is basically the identity or the mask that we create when we are young to interact with the external environment. It's as simple as that. And it's basically the false sense of self. That's not who we are.
So it's always a false sense of self.
It is a false sense of self. But the reality is, we have to also integrate that. And this is what I find with a lot of content out there. It's about completely dissolving the ego and killing the ego and all that stuff. It's not about that. The ego, it will always be there. And what we need to do is actually making the ego the servant of the higher self, of the capital S self. It has to become the servant. That's the thing. It has to submit to the totality, basically, of our psyche, and become basically what it is, which is basically a filter that filters through the totality of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not about either viewing it as something bad. And this is what happens a lot. And I went through that. I feel we all go through this process when we start to explore ourselves. We think, we need to kill our ego, or we literally wage war against our ego, and it will never end well. I can guarantee you that.
So make friends with the ego, but make sure that it's subservient to the self with a capital S.
It has to become the servant of the capital self. That's it. That's why we definitely need to develop that also. And there's a healthy expression of that too. And as soon as you understand that, because unfortunately the way the human experience has become, we need that too. If you don't have a healthy ego, you're not going to be able to actually build something externally also that it's good. And this is what happens. How many people have you seen? They enter like spiritual communities or they start having medicine and they go completely the other way. And they're basically broke, waiting for the divine basically to do everything. And they completely like deny the human experience. It's not about that. It's not about that at all.
Yeah.
You still have to be in it. So you have to integrate all those things through that. And be even more immersed in that experience.
Yeah, makes sense. Theo, what's been the biggest lesson of 2025 so far?
I had so many. So for me, the biggest lesson that I had, which was actually a big slap on my face from reality, was to really confront myself and confront the reality that how much more there was there for me to actually integrate. Every single time that I think I know fuck all. And I had one of those big moments, actually so many times, especially in the first half of the year. And that came also through my beautiful partner that brought so much more up. And yeah, I just had to confront that reality. And for me, that was the biggest shift that I had. Because yes, I have, I have been exploring myself for so long. But that's again the problem of the ego. Anytime that you think that you know, I'm telling you, I know for sure that if I say I know, the ego has taken over. That's the thing. So it's actually, I caught myself in an even bigger way, and for me it happened because I was in a deep healing journey to complete my process with my mother wound and the feminine wounds that I had. And through that, I got lost so much into my process that, like my partner really pulled me out of that and really showed me where I was. Yeah. So that's the thing. I want people to understand that no matter what level you reach on your evolution and being a facilitator or having a title and all the stuff and taking that responsibility of supporting people, that doesn't mean that you're fucking perfect or you've became this enlightened being and you're a guru. No, it means that you are committed and you're constantly making sure that you're looking at yourself deeply and it never ends.
Yeah. The standard for your integrity actually goes up the more people you serve.
Exactly. And I know for sure I'm gonna be constantly catching myself. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You're not perfect. This is the thing. So that projection from people of because that's the thing. It will happen a lot. Like the higher you actually the higher levels you reach of your consciousness and your evolution, the projections from people will become also deeper, because obviously they see in you so much more of themselves. You become a much deeper mirror for them, and that's the whole point of that.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
You become a much deeper mirror for them.
Yeah. So as soon as they look at yourself, the reflection that they're getting back, it's so much more deeper. So it's gonna bring, and that's what it means to being a good therapist or coach or healer, whatever title you have. It's about that. The deeper you have been within yourself, the more you're gonna reflect back to people. And that's why, like for me, like I had to accept also that I'm going to receive a lot of projections. So I know that. And that's why like I'm becoming better and better and actually supporting people on my clients on seeing that. And that's the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fucking guru. That's another thing that is important. I think we're actually coming out of the age of gurus.
Which age do you think we're stepping into?
Of personal power and people creating their own path instead of following somebody else's path.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to teach also. I'm not there for becoming anyone's guru or all the stuff. And the first thing that I have to make sure I say to people is, I'm not healing you. I'm not actually doing that work for you. All I'm doing is I'm a powerful mirror for you to look at yourself. And I'm more of a guide to actually show you how to find your power within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even gonna tell you what that is for you. You have to figure it out. I'm just gonna be showing you how to connect with that.
Yeah. A little bit of a tangent, but tell me about the spirit of cannabis, because I find it quite interesting. For some people, it causes paranoia. For others, it connects them to their inner child. How do you see cannabis in a ceremonial way, and how do you use it in your own work?
Cannabis has been one of the most powerful teachers that I ever had. She taught me a lot of important things. And what I want to share is, first of all, cannabis is the feminine. Okay, like actually in a lot of circles, they actually call it, even because it is a master plan, they call it the slut master plan. Because as energetically, it feels like the dark feminine, if you want to call it as such.
Interesting.
So that's the thing. So she's very seductive and like connects you with your pleasure in such a profound way, and the way it teaches you, it's very unique. So because it's the feminine, that's why, and this is what I realized, why men specifically, and it can happen with women, but specifically men, they actually get taken over by the spirit. Because you have a deep mother wound, and then in your attempt to actually work with that and connect with the feminine inside and your softness, you enter the cannabis space. So you start connecting with the spirit, and what do we see happens out there? It's definitely not addictive. You know, like those medicines are not addictive, but what will happen is the way we use it, because we don't treat it with respect, and it reveals to us the connection we have with our own feminine, and this is how it takes over. And you see so many men, they get addicted to cannabis and they lose that battle.
What lessons has it taught you that other plant medicines maybe can't teach the same way?
The way cannabis teaches you how to connect with your body, when you learn how to connect with that, it's now no other medicine can do that. Because think about of the endocannabinoid system. It literally almost resembles the nervous system. So as soon as you smoke cannabis, you literally activate the whole system in a very profound way. And actually, in regards to paranoia that you said before, the reason why a lot of people, I believe specifically, experience paranoia is because all of a sudden they have this big influx of information coming up that they're not ready to face, and it's so intense that they go into this paranoid state. Plus, you don't treat it with respect, and people the way they also smoke it, first of all, they smoke bad quality of cannabis, either even medical or grown wherever, and you don't even know what's inside. So you're using a lot of the times bad quality medicine, but it's also the way they have it. They have it, these massive hits with bongs and all sorts of other ways. What do you expect is going to happen?
It's too high.
It's too high. You don't treat it with respect. You don't treat it with intention and actually to connect with yourself, but they actually use it to escape. It has become a medicine that it has such a beautiful way to help you connect with yourself. They actually use it for the complete opposite. And that's a big problem. That's why for me, from the moment I connected with her and the spirit in such profound ways, like I got called like to work with that and actually educate people on how to use cannabis in a way that they're gonna get the benefits.
Do you notice that? So what I've noticed is something like mushrooms often leaves me feeling clear-minded and sharper, whereas something like cannabis sometimes gives me a hangover or makes me feel fuzzy the next day. Is that something in regards to how you do cannabis or the dose you do, or do you notice a difference in how cannabis affects you long-term?
Yes. So I can guarantee you, if you have homegrown plant that it's grown from the sun and the earth, and you have pure medicine like that, you're not going to get that.
I see. So it's the quality.
It's the quality, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
If you have good quality cannabis, is a completely different experience. And why do you think in all the creative circles, from artists to musicians to anyone, why cannabis is such a powerful tool for all of them? The way it actually connects you with your creativity and your soul, there's nothing like that.
Wow.
Like legit. The way you process your thoughts, even the way you connect with your pleasure, the way you experience essentially like life, it's very, very profound. But obviously, anything that you abuse can go the other way. So I do believe it's the quality of the medicine, and that's why I don't agree with pharma obviously taking over and all that stuff. Anything that happens along those lines, it's just. So they're destroying the plant and the medicine.
Isn't it incredible that we have all of these different plant medicines and each one is like a different key that tunes your brain into a different frequency? It's quite incredible that we actually live in a world where this is possible.
Yeah.
To change one's consciousness for a few hours.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was always there for us. Brother, like the earth literally she provides everything for us to do. From food, there's abundance of everything.
Yeah.
But that's why it has been such a problem what we have created with the structures and the systems and what we're doing to the earth. So the way she also fights back is through those things that she provides for us to reconnect and explore our consciousness and shift everything. That's why, like, it's just I can't think of life without connecting. And the fact that they have been criminalized and
hilarious.
It's just so funny.
To criminalize a plant is
to criminalize something that is natural, that it's produced from the earth.
Yes.
For us to connect and have a fucking good time.
Yeah.
And it actually shows you what is happening on a higher level and how we're getting attacked.
That's it. That's exactly it. It's whoever they are, they're afraid that the truth that you see on the mushrooms, the truth that you see on ayahuasca, when the veil is lifted.
Your power.
Yeah.
It's literally reconnects you with your power. They don't want you to be powerful. It's as simple as that. They want to basically hijack your mind, keep you being this mindless, over-consuming zombie that they can control, and that's it. That's how they treat us. That's why you can breaking down in so many levels, from the spiritual aspect to the physical. Like you can break it down in every plane. But essentially, that's the battle that we are fighting, and it happens in every fucking level.
Tell me, suppose that we steer the ship into the best direction for Mother Earth and for humanity. What is your most optimistic vision for the next 5 to 10 years of humanity?
Yes. So I don't believe in this utopian fantasy that a lot of people, especially in the spiritual communities, are craving for. For me, the idea of that we're going to go to a timeline in history that there's going to be this utopia, everything is going to be perfect, we're going to be all acceptant of each other. Like, for me, I don't think that's the case. We're too far gone on the other side, and you see it through basically history, big civilizations, and it's this constant cycle of things. So we need to accept that death and rebirth. So for me, what's happening at the moment, there is this split that is happening in so many ways. The old basically systems are falling apart, are collapsing, and then there's obviously even the people that created the whole systems. They're trying to steer us in a direction of more disconnection, merging with basically AI and robotics and all that stuff, and essentially even disconnecting us from our nature of they don't want even women to give birth, they don't want men. That's why they're destroying our testosterone, our sperm and all the stuff. So that reality that they are creating, and everybody that is gonna basically follow that, good luck. And then there's also the people that have been doing that work, and obviously they're spiritually connected, that we're trying to create new systems and new ways of being and new ways to break through that. So the split, I feel, is going to become more and more distinct.
Mm-hmm.
How it's going to look later on, I don't know. I do feel we're going to go through some very hard times. You can feel it also, like energetically, like there's so much. It's almost like this build up for this big event. So I do feel like there's stuff that's going to happen. But essentially that's what we're doing. There is this split of reality, and the ones that basically have freed themselves up from the system are trying to create the new ways of being. And I'm part of that, and I'm gonna do the best I can to really make sure that.
Let's see how the movie unfolds.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Theo, what truth would you want your future children or the next generation of humans to know about life?
Say that again. Take it in.
So, if this was the last time you ever spoke into a microphone, what truth would you want to leave behind to your children, your future children, or the next generation of men?
Oh man, there's so many. But you know what? I will go with follow your bliss.
Joseph Campbell.
Huh?
Joseph Campbell. Follow your bliss.
Follow your bliss, bro. 100%. Like I've shared so many different things, even in conversations and all the stuff. But for me, where I'm at now, just follow your bliss. And for me, it's very important because I've connected with the fact now that I want to become a father. So I'm actually preparing myself for fatherhood and creating like a strong family unit with my beautiful conscious partner. So this is essentially what I'm going to teach my kids.
Follow your bliss.
I'm going to teach them how to basically stay connected with whatever comes through them, nurture that, and essentially I'm going to teach them how to follow their bliss.
It reminds me of Bashar, who has the excitement formula. In every moment, follow your highest excitement. Take it as far as you can, but no further, with no attachment to the outcome.
No. But even if you take it further, you're still going to learn a lot of lessons. That's the thing. That's the thing.
For Theo, take it further.
And for everybody, it will look different.
Yes.
For me, my bliss was literally pain, bro.
Yes, I see.
That was my path. My path was a path of pain and suffering. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So for everybody, it will look different. Like, so follow whatever that is. Trust that. Trust that what comes through you.
The guidance within you.
The guidance.
Yes.
That's why, you know what? Like, I had this beautiful experience when I was actually on mushrooms again, and I felt it so deeply within myself, and I connected with the fact that the biggest fuck you that we can give to the system at the moment and what's happening is literally create a fucking strong family unit that is created from two conscious parents that they're gonna guide the kids that they're gonna create in this conscious way, and we're going to create the leaders of the future. The reason why the family unit is even attacked even more at the moment, or the sacred union between a man and a woman, I do believe, because this is the truth.
Yeah.
It's the yin and yang coming together, the masculine and the feminine. We really need to go back to that. And whatever is created through that if we nurture that, there's no chance for the dark or whatever to win. That's it.
Yeah.
We need to go back to that, and that's what I'm doing.
Well said, brother. Well said.
Thank you, bro.
Theo, it's been an incredible conversation. Thank you for going deep with us today. For those listening who want to dive deeper with you, your coaching, your retreats, your work, where's the best place to find you?
The best way to find me at the moment is on Instagram, and I'm creating also my new website and
Beautiful.
my offers and my programs.
We'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the show notes.
And to everyone listening, if this episode touched you, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the James Xander Trip for more conversations like this. Until next time, stay legendary.
Thank you, brother, for having.
Thank you, bro.
Oh.
Oh.